Okay, you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Kai Ashley, and welcome to Champions of the Light. I am the spiritual guide and healer of the healers. And today we have the fabulous Jenna Faith, formerly known as Jen Scalia. Welcome. Thank you for joining us, Jenna.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I've been trying to get you on an interview for a while now. I've really been looking forward to this. Would you tell everyone a bit about who you are and who you serve and what you do?
Absolutely. So as Kai said, I'm Jenna Faith. You probably know me if you know me or recognize me as Jen Scalia. I actually just did a name change. Also just a whole rebrand of my entire business. This is actually going into my 7th year online. So there's been lots of shifts and lots of changes, but right now the work that I'm doing most with people is visibility and mindset for people to really grow and scale their online businesses, really people who are wanting to leave a legacy, wanting to make millions, and just really, nothing is going to stop them. Those are the people I love to work with anyway.
I love that. So our series today is all about triumphing over adversity, because the thing that really helped me most to believe in myself and even allow myself to move forward in my business was people's success stories. So would you share with people your story of how you've triumphed over adversity?
Well, when I first started my business, I feel like that was the point in time where I had the most adversity. And I feel like most people wouldn't start a business at that time. When you're going through like a divorce, becoming a single mom, getting laid off from your job, depression, like it's just like everything that could have gone wrong in my life was going wrong in my life at the time that I started my business. And, for me, it was hard. Obviously we're all human. We all have emotions. We all have feelings.
Yeah.
But it was definitely like I had to inspire myself. Like I had to really look. My son was only 2 at the time, 2.5. So I really had to think about his future and the life that I wanted to create for him. And so within, the first year for me was definitely very difficult, probably because I was dealing with a lot of personal stuff, trying to get my footing right, just, not being in the right frame of mind. And I would say like midway through my 2nd year in business is when everything really started to change. And it started to change because I was focusing more on the mindset. I was focusing more on the inner work. I was focusing more on the alignment work. And that's when my business really blew up.
I love that. So would you share some tips and secrets for people who maybe they're going through that challenging time in their life, and maybe they think it's the wrong time for them to start? How would you tell people, like, how do they know if it's the right time for them?
I kind of feel like there's no right time, or there's no perfect time, I should say, to start a business, to do something out of the ordinary, to take a risk, because as entrepreneurs, that's what we're doing. We're taking big risk, for something that we feel in our heart or we feel in our soul. And we're like, yes, we have the vision, we want it. But to everybody else in the whole world, it's like, you are nuts, right? Like you are crazy. Like how can you even do that? So I feel like there's never a perfect time. So if you have something that's like in your soul that is like calling you to do something bigger than you're currently doing now, you just have to follow that. You have to follow that. And the most important advice that I can give you on like, just overcoming that fear of even starting is to definitely get a support system. So just like you were saying, like you got inspired by watching other people and hearing their story. For me, it was definitely around being with people who understood, right? So other entrepreneurs, other people who were just starting, other people who had the same emotions and feelings and ups and downs and all of that stuff, because otherwise you're not only going to feel like you're going out on a limb and taking a huge risk, but you're also going to feel lonely if you don't have that kind of support. So for me, I know that was definitely something that really helped me overcome those big hurdles, was being around a group of women that were doing the thing, or they were trying. So, whenever I came up against anything, I was able to go to that group of women and say, hey, this is my issue, or this is what's going on. And I was able to get the support so that I didn't feel lonely in my business. I felt like people understood where I was going. Plus I was getting advice, on like how to move forward. So support, I feel like, a lot of people too will, like if they have spouses or friends, will be like, yeah, I totally support you, but I feel like just somebody supporting you and actually having support is like two completely different things, right? Like, yeah, I support you, meaning I'm not telling you not to do it, but to actually have people there that are like uplifting you, inspiring you, and pushing you along the way, it's so crucial.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And it's the power of the mastermind that when, you know, multiple minds come together, it creates this whole new mind and it brings this whole energy of ideas and possibilities in. So I think that's an absolutely excellent tip.
Absolutely.
So the other thing that reminds me of is how often when we are getting started, we want to tell everyone about it and, you know, we expect people to support us. But the truth is, for me, I actually decided to not tell people, you know, I mean, like I tell people, but not that there were certain key people in my life that I'm like, just not going to share this because, you know, it's just not going to help. So I think you really have to protect your dream there. Yeah.
I mean, I'm with you in that camp as well. I think I remember like telling my parents about it when I first started, and they just like looked at me like I had 14 heads, you know, and like the conversation didn't really go well. So I was like, okay, I was like, maybe I should just keep this to myself, right? Or keep this to the people who are actually going to support me. So I do love that. I think, yes, we have to be very discerning with who we tell our dreams to and the conversations that we get into, because there's going to be so many people who don't agree with what you're doing. And usually it comes from a loving place. Usually it comes from a place of like concern, or I want to protect you, or this is like really scary. So yeah, that's why that support, you know, with people who are doing what you're doing is so important, because anybody who's not an entrepreneur, anybody who's not doing what you're doing, is they will not understand.
Yeah, they can't.
And it's just, like the conversation will be low vibe. It's not going to feel good, and then you're going to start to doubt yourself.
Yeah, and that's the last thing. You really have to back yourself in this, because there are going to be so many ups and downs. So how can you suggest people continue to back themselves when it seems like things aren't working, but they just need to keep going? What would you say there?
You know, one of my favorite things is to look for evidence. I feel like along the way we have an end goal, which there's never really an end goal, right? When we're in entrepreneurship, because as soon as you hit one goal, it's like, okay, what's the next one? What's the next one? What's the next one? So there's never actually really an end goal. It really is just a journey. So you have to enjoy the journey, but along the journey, you want to make sure that you are also, you know, looking for that evidence to support that you are on the right track. A lot of times what happens is we'll set a goal and it's like, okay, I want to make $5,000 a month, or I want to make $10,000 a month, or I want to make six figures. And until we get to that point, we're like beating ourselves up along the way, right? Instead of celebrating every moment, every person that reaches out to you, every interview you get, every chance you get to share your message and someone likes or comments on it, every time somebody reaches out and says, I love your live stream, or I love what you're doing, every client that signs up, every new person that signs up for your list, like all of those things should be celebrated along the way, because then you can look back and be like, okay, like maybe I didn't reach that goal yet, but look at all this evidence to support that I'm on the right track. So if we are just like allow those things to happen and don't have gratitude for them and don't recognize them, then it is really going to seem like nothing's happening, right? Nothing's happening. I'm not making any progress. I might as well just quit. So make sure that you're, you know, I used to like actually keep Post-it notes. And I would write just like little things. Like I would say, oh, Kai reached out to me for an interview. And I would write it on the Post-it note. And I had this like little box. And so whenever I would start to doubt myself, I would go in the box and look. And then also just like testimonials, even if you just have one client right now, you know, but that client is sending you a message saying, you changed my life. Or, you know, this happened because of our coaching, like write that stuff down, keep it somewhere where you can continually remind yourself of all the evidence that you are doing the right thing.
That's such a powerful one, because so many people think that success is this like event and this thing you get to, but I really believe that success is more of a way of life and a habit, and it's a progression. So you know what that reminds me of is with subscribers, you know, like celebrating all the subscribers you get and things like that. I always celebrate the unsubscribes because I always am like, yes, that means I'm polarizing. And that means that if I get unsubscribes, then I believe that there are other people who equally fell in love with me even more.
Yeah. And the amount of unsubscribes to the amount of people who don't like, and it doesn't even mean that they don't like you, right?
Yeah.
Like it could just mean like my email inbox is overloaded and I'm not even reading your emails, but I'm still following you on Facebook. But so many people get really caught up in those numbers, like, oh my God, 5 people unsubscribed. And I'm like, listen, every time I send an email, 80 people unsubscribe.
Yeah.
So like turn the notifications off, like make sure that you're not getting that notification that's like, oh, so-and-so unsubscribed. Because then you're feeding yourself with energy that it's not working. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but if you compare the numbers and you're looking and you're like, okay, so I have X amount of people on my list, 1 person unsubscribed, such a small percentage, right? And that person, either, like I said, they could still be following you on social media. Maybe they're just cleaning up their inbox, or maybe they just don't need what you have anymore. Or maybe they're just not opening your emails and they're probably not going to buy anyway. So why continue to, give them something that they don't want? But yeah, it's definitely an opportunity to clear space for good followers, right? And people who are going to buy and people who are going to share your stuff.
Yeah, I love that. So I know that one of your real great strengths is helping people to like really boost their business and call in ideal clients and create their dream business. So I love it. Would you share some tips about maybe like mindset strategies to help people boost their sales and become more successful in their business?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I literally just did a training for one of my programs yesterday, and it was all about sales. And it's so funny because like I've taken sales courses before, and it's like, this is the script, that you have to have, like, and you have to have this sales page and you have to send these 4 emails in a row and you've got to post at this time, and it's like, it is so not about that, and I think especially when you're just beginning, you kind of fall into that trap of like, if I just had the right script, people would buy from me. If I posted at the right time of the day and I had the right call to action, like people are going to buy. And it's like, no, it's not about that at all. Right. Like it really is all about your energy, how you're showing up, your power, your aura, right? Like your essence, essentially, like, who are you, right? That's what makes people want to buy, especially in our industry, in the coaching, whether you're doing business coaching or life coaching or spiritual coaching or relationship coaching, there's thousands, millions of options.
Yeah.
Right. And so people really are basing their decisions on who to follow and who to buy from based on, do I like you? Like, do I like you? Do I think you're cool? Do you have good vibes? Do I know that you can help me? Have you helped other people? Like that's what's going through people's heads, not like, oh, wow, what a perfectly crafted email here. That's fantastic. I'm going to buy, but yeah, we get so caught up in like the minutia and the little details. And it's so like my experience personally, and just all of the people that are around me that are like totally crushing it, that like are making millions of dollars without a website, not using email, not having professional photos. It's who they are that's calling in and attracting the people, that want to buy from them and buy from them easily. So it really boils down to, number one, you have to be in alignment, right? Like you have to be in alignment with whatever it is you're selling. So that's always for me, like that's always the first checkpoint is like, okay, if you're selling relationships, right? Or relationship coaching, like, what's your status? What's going on with you, right? Like, are you fighting your husband every night and, you haven't had sex in a year, but you're trying to like, tell people how to have a great relationship. So you just want to make sure that like, whatever it is that you're selling, and just also in general in your life, like that you're in full alignment with what you're asking other people to do and what you are telling other people that you can help them with. Because even if you had all of the other things in place, that misalignment is it's going to completely stop your sales. And you're going to be like, what the heck? Like I did all the things, I did all the lives, I sent all the emails, and no sales, because people can feel that, right? Like that's energy, people can feel it. So definitely alignment for me is like, if I have clients that are, wondering like, why isn't anybody reaching out to me? Like we get to the nitty gritty of like, okay, what's really going on? Right? Are you being fearful? Have you given your power away? Right? Like, so really just understanding who you are, because essentially that's, once you get that right, and once you step into your power, it doesn't matter what you do, people are going to come.
So how could our viewers leave this call today and be able to, one, know if they're not in alignment, which I think you pretty much covered, but then also two, what steps can they take to be more in alignment in their life?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're not getting the results that you want, And here's another thing, like if you're not getting the results that you want, but you see other people around you getting the results that you want, that to me is like a clear indication of like, okay, something's up, right? Like like I can see it, it's possible, it's right there. I can see that it's possible for me. It's happening all around me. Why isn't it happening for me? So that for me is usually that indication. Another really good indication of misalignment is if you feel like your work is hard. So if you're feeling like, oh, creating content is so hard, or I have to write this newsletter, I really don't want to go on live, I really don't want to talk about this. So if you find yourself like not interested in your own things anymore, or just being at a complete like stall with the creativity around your topic, that's another, another thing for misalignment. And maybe it's like you need to shift your offer, maybe it's you're changing your niche, or you're changing your ideal client or something like that. But yeah, if it feels hard, because this shouldn't feel hard, like this is our purpose work, right? Like this is our life's work. So it should feel like, holy crap, I get to do this every single day. That's amazing. It shouldn't feel like pulling teeth to share your message, to share your story, to get out there, to write something, to talk about something. It should come from you. So those are two really good ways to know that you're out of alignment. And for me, it's always just been, it's been that mindset work. It's been the mindset work. It's been the, the journaling, really getting in touch with like, what's actually happening. Awareness for me is like the key, right? Because a lot of times stuff is happening behind the scenes or subconsciously, right? So things are happening or things are affecting how we're showing up. Could be something that happened in third grade, right? That's not resolved, right? But that's stopping you from going and being you online and going and doing videos because you're worried about what somebody's going to say. So there's a lot, like there's just so much to unpack. Like when I do mindset for myself, and that's the majority of what I help my clients with is the inner stuff. It's like it doesn't ever end. It's like it's not the sexy stuff, but it's the stuff that once you actually step into your power and have an awareness around like, oh, it's this thing that's stopping me, or this is what's causing the resistance. Once you have an awareness of it, then you can fix it. A lot of times people will try to say like, oh, I know what it is. It's this, right? And I'm like, no, it's never the thing that you think it is, because if it was that easy, if it really was like that surface level thing that, oh, it's that, it wouldn't even be a problem. We wouldn't even be having this conversation. It's always something deeper. And the more that you can discover around that and dig it up and like forgiveness and just get it out, the more you're going to be able to move forward in your power and you're going to be just more attractive, right? Like your energy is going to start calling people in. So for me, it's always the mindset work. It's never like go fix your tagline, or maybe you need a different color in your banner. Like it's never anything like that, right?
Yeah, that's the wrong color.
Yeah. Maybe if you did it in purple, more people would like it,
Yeah, I mean, so many people are just wanting to power through, and you've got like the camp that just wants to ignore it all. Well, and then the other one that just wants to be like really positive, and they don't even want to talk about the negative. And it's like, I find that it has to be a dance where you sort of like, you bring up the negative, but then you reframe it. Because as you said, we are literally running on programs, like decisions we made when we were in grade 3, that something scary happened and it will happen again.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And it's fear, right? It's fear-based. And when you're fear-based, you're not in your power. And so if you're, if that's your main operating system, then it's no wonder why things don't feel like they're working out for you just yet. So it's just an indication, everything that happens, it's like, okay, well, what can I fix? What can I do differently? How can I show up differently? What do I need to uncover? What do I need to unpack? And then move forward and do it again.
Yeah. So what's your go-to method for clearing fear in the moment? Let's say that someone wants to do live stream. They know that they're aligned with their message, but they're feeling really scared. Or what would be your tip to get them through it?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it would be a couple of different things. So if you have time, like I would definitely do some sort of journaling. I like to do self-coaching. So I'll just ask myself questions and pretend like I'm a 5-year, like I'm literally talking to my 5-year-old self, So I'll say, okay, Jen, you're prepared to do this live stream. You know your stuff. What's going on? Why are you hesitating? What's happening? What's the resistance? And then I'll literally like answer myself as myself, like, oh, it might be this, and this kind of like keep this conversation going with yourself and coach yourself through it as if you would a client, right? just digging deep into those layers until you understand what's going on. I feel like I also have some little like power statements and like little like mantras or like prayers, like you can like wrap yourself in like a ball of energy and protect yourself. Like there's so many different things you can do. Obviously it's going to be different for each person. My go-to is also always the journaling, because I want to know what's actually going on. So that way the next time I go on live, I'm not dealing with this again. I'm not dealing with the same fear. Might be a different fear, might be something else, but at least I've unpacked it and I can now move through it.
Yeah. And I think one thing I want people to know is that for me, the whole crux of personal development and mindset work, it's about changing your mind about it. It's like you think it's going to be really scary, and people don't realize that they can actually look at their beliefs and change their mind about it. People often think that just because they think it, this is how it is. What would you say to people who think that?
Yeah, I agree. It's perspective, right? And mostly that perspective doesn't ever even come from you. It comes from someone else, which is like, that's really BS. Like, okay, so now I'm letting myself stop myself, not even based on my own thoughts, but of my grandfathers and, my grandfather's grandfathers, right? Because the stuff is passed down, right? So we have a decision to make of like, okay, how do I move forward with this? What is the story I want to believe about this? One of the things that my coach always asks is like, would this hold up in a court of law? So it's like, okay, is it an actual fact, right? Or is it just a fear? Is it just something you're experiencing and you need to work through? So I think that's, I love that, because it's like, oh, it gets you right back into the moment of like, okay, this is actually not real. This is just what I'm perceiving in this moment, or this is just, an idea or belief that I have felt for so long, but it can be changed.
Yeah. Yeah, it absolutely can be changed, and we just have to be willing to like change our mind about it, like really be like, does that really make sense? Actually, no, that doesn't make sense, and then just change your mind.
Yeah, I saw that you did on the last one, someone with EFT, and I don't do EFT myself. I find it like pretty silly, but like when I was thinking about it, I was like, well, maybe that's the whole point. Like maybe the whole point is that it's so silly and you keep repeating these things, and by the time you're done, you're like, oh my God, that is so stupid. Like I can't even believe I had that thought. Like it's so silly.
It is.
Right?
Yeah, part of what it does is like when you bring up the negative and like you're pulsing the energy through your body, and also mix it with breath work, is what it does is it like the positive energy fizzles the negative energy. It just sort of zaps it, and then you have more clarity and space to look at it and go, oh, that's just ridiculous. And then you have like these big breakthroughs. So it is a bit silly at first, but I think if you do it right, then you can have a really, good breakthrough there.
It's awesome.
So would you like to share any final tips that you feel like people absolutely have to know that you'd really love to impart them with?
Yes, I actually do this on like every single interview I've done in the last 3 years. I always say the same thing because I feel like it needs to be said, and people want something like really profound and really like, oh my God, I get like, for me, it's like, you just got to be yourself. Like literally that's it. It sounds stupid. It sounds elementary. It sounds like, well, duh. But most people are not being themselves online. They're trying to be this persona of who they think other people are going to like, or they're trying to emulate somebody else. And if I'm like her, or if I do the things she does, then it's going to work for me. And that never works. If that goes back to what we were talking about with the energy, it's like, it takes so little energy to just be yourself. It takes a lot of energy and a lot of space and a lot of thinking to try to be like somebody else, right? Or to try to think about, this is the persona that I'm going to put on. Like I just did an interview and the woman asked me like, oh, I was looking at your website. I love your photos. She's like, how did you come up with the concept for your photo shoot? And I was like, well, that's just me. Like there was no concept. It was just like, I want to be portrayed how I normally am, like wearing the same clothes that I would wear if I went out, doing my hair the way that I would do it if I went out. So I thought that was pretty funny that she had thought that I had contrived this thing, and I was like, but that's just me. And I even have it tattooed. You guys, I don't know if you can see it here, but it says "Be You" on my arm there. And yeah, it's just a reminder of like, it's just so much easier to just be yourself. And I will say though, sometimes it is a little difficult, right? It's a little difficult because we're worried about what other people are going to think. We have this like ego thing going on, but the more that you can step into the power and just like own it and own who you are, everything will be a breeze. Sales will be a breeze. Marketing will be a breeze. Promotions will be a breeze. Everything. So
yeah, I find the same. I used to have such a fear of being seen and being on video. My hands would literally tremble when I think about like doing, like, this was like back in 2012 when I was like starting to run workshops in Bali. And I was like literally trembling on the edge of my bed about running a workshop I was about to do. They're like, oh my God, what if they judge me? And I was like in tears about it. But I found that if I just shared a little bit about myself every time, I'd always get positive feedback and I actually wouldn't get judged like I was scared. Like, I was scared they would, you know?
yeah.
Yeah. So, would you tell everyone about your amazing free gift that they get to pick up today?
Ooh, yes. And it's so in alignment with the conversation.
Yeah.
Yes, we totally planned that. So the free gift is it's a free audio and PDF on my intuitive launch method. So this is really good if you are getting ready to launch something, or if you're just making sales, if you're just trying to get one-on-one clients, whatever it is that you're trying to put out there. Basically, it's like a reality check of like, what is in alignment for me in my marketing, what's in alignment for me in my sales, what's in alignment for me in my pricing, and really going through, this list of things that I have put together to really understand like where you might be off and where you can shift, so that as you start to promote your thing or start to make sales or do your launch, you're like, I'm good, I'm totally in alignment, and I'm going to crush it.
Wow. That is literally perfect. It's like it was designed for this conversation.
Yeah.
Great. So thank you so much for joining us. And if you're not following Jenna Faith already, make sure you go follow her, grab the free gift, which I've put in the comments, or if you're watching on YouTube, it's in the description. And also make sure to like and subscribe. Jenna, it has been so wonderful having you with us today. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, bye.